Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while again. Well, I said I was going to try and film more regularly. I didn't say how regularly. But at least hasn't that been 3 months again, has it? I don't think so. Yeah, I just, it's the time of year, and obviously the holidays are not going to be as easy for me as in the past. For many reasons, but the main one, obviously, not having my husband here. So I've been trying to get through that as best as I can. But obviously, it's been difficult. I've obviously been grieving still, and just the whole thing of going through all your firsts, like the first time his birthday, first time my birthday without him, and things, and then the first Thanksgiving without him, and now upcoming is Christmas and New Year's, and then will be the first anniversary of everything. And so I'm just keeping myself as occupied as I can and surrounding myself with friends and family as much as possible. I did that on Thanksgiving, where I did a 4-mile walk for charity on Thanksgiving morning with some friends of mine and brought my dogs along, and they had a great time, and then spent the evening with my in-laws, which they've been very accommodating, and they still view me as family, which I'm so grateful for because I don't really have much family out here in Colorado. So still being accepted into their family, despite the fact that their brother and son, etc., is gone. It helps. It helps a lot. So there's all of that, and obviously because of all that, I'm not as much in the mood to film and just talk to the camera and stuff. I just haven't had the passion for it as I used to. I'd like for that to come back. I don't know if it will. One of the big things I've been doing, it's that time of year where you start kind of contemplating the past, the present, the future, all that stuff, and at this time of year anyway, and especially with what's been going on with my life, it's obviously been something that's been weighing on my mind. It's like, well, what do I want to do with my life now, since I am I'm finding myself, single again, but I'm not, I have no interest in dating or another relationship or anything, not anytime soon. I'm not saying I never will, but that's not something I'm planning on pursuing right now. It doesn't feel right. Plus I just have no interest in it, and I'm just like, what, let me focus on me and who I am, and I'm like, do I still want to continue with my consulting business? I've been waffling on that one a bit, because part of me, I'm not ready to give it up, but part of me does want to. So I'm not gonna make any rash decisions. I'm going forward with some plans in the new year to try and increase the amount of work I'm getting in. I've kind of been stepping away from the business quite a bit this year, and obviously a lot of work has just not happened because of that. My husband's estate has been good enough because of what he left behind. Financially, I've been fine. I paid off the mortgage on the house, that kind of thing. So I'm fine, but I'm not one to just sit here and like the way he worded his last wishes was that for all of his non-retirement funds in the estate, that I should use that to sustain all my basic living expenses. So because of that, I kind of have I'm giving myself a stipend every month that covers utilities, groceries, feeding myself and the dogs, of course, too, and the cat, and just all the basics. Health insurance is another one. So all the basic stuff that I need to survive, I'm using that money for. But if I want anything, if I want to buy clothes for myself, if I want to buy beauty supplies, the fact that I like having a housekeeper that comes by every 2 weeks and helps me with the vacuuming and things, just because Okay, I have arthritis. It's something that happens in the women in my family early. My mom got it in her 40s, my grandmother had it in her 40s, I'm in my 40s, and I've got arthritis, something awful in my lower back. I have it in my hands, my knees, my hip, and everything. And so it makes certain things difficult, especially when I get a flare-up, and especially with my back, if I bend over too much. I can't straighten up, and I swear I act like I'm 80. I'm 45. I'm not, that old yet, but the arthritis is really slowing me down in a lot of ways. And so one of the things, because my husband was not the neatest person in the world, he was the opposite of the neatest person in the world, and I just could not keep up cleaning behind him all the time. And so that was one of the compromises we made, was like, okay, well, if you're not gonna clean up after yourself, I can't, therefore we need a housekeeper. And so that was our compromise, and I'm still keeping that going because I kind of like, I hate vacuuming anyway, and with my back and everything, it's just become to the point where I just need the help. I really do. Either that or I just vacuum every 6 months, and that's, with pets and everything, that's not a good idea. It's good to keep everything maintained. So I need to earn an income to pay for the luxury things in my life. Like getting my nails done, like my winter nails. Here, I don't know if it'll focus or not, but I got a little snowflake on my ring fingers and everything. Nice and sparkly winter nails. But I like getting my nails done, I like having my hair done, and I like to be able to go out once in a while and have a meal. I mean, now that it's just me at home, I cook for myself all the time. My husband hated eating at home. Not that he hated my cooking, he had a thing about eating at home and eating leftovers and all this stuff, and it was an anxiety issue with him. So we ate out a lot. I mean, we were eating out at least 4 days a week, if not more often. And I'm eating out now, maybe once a week, mainly because I have some friends of mine who've kind of gotten me to go out and play trivia with them once a week. So I go out for a trivia night and I have dinner when I'm out. So before I was doing the trivia thing, I was eating out once every 2-3 weeks maybe. So I wasn't eating out that much. And even when I do eat out now, I'm like, I'll have a pretzel and a beer or something. So I'm not really eating out as much as I used to. And that's something that I actually, that was one of the things that kind of annoyed me about my husband. I mean, I loved him to death, I did, and he was adorable and sweet and everything, but the whole thing about eating out, because I didn't always want to go out every single night. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I started getting sick and tired of business travel, because you eat out all the time because you're in a hotel and you either get room service or you eat out, and so I did all that. I was traveling 5 or 6 times a year for business before I met my husband. And so by the time he came along, I was just so sick and tired of the whole eating out thing. And then he comes along and we got to eat out. Fine, honey. I loved him, but that was one of the things where every now and again we'd butt heads about it because I just really didn't want to, and I'm like, can't I just cook some dinner, please? And he was, he'd stomp his feet like a 5-year-old, and usually I almost always caved one way or the other. What are you gonna do? I mean, it was an anxiety issue for him, and sometimes I would be a little bit of a petulant child and not want to go out, but I always, I could see the anxiety building in him, and it's like, fine, let's go out. But then when we come home, I'm gonna spend an hour playing World of Warcraft or something to de-stress, because I didn't feel like going out, because I'm an introvert. I don't want to be out all the time. He was definitely an extrovert. He gained energy from being around other people, and so he liked being around crowds and things. He loved going to parties and everything, and so that was definitely a thing. So anyway, off on that tangent. Yes, talking about what I want to do with the rest of my life. So yeah, so my consulting is definitely one of those things where will I continue to do it? I'm not sure right now. I've kind of lost my passion for it as much as I have lost my passion for a lot of things. And so I need to figure that out still, and things. But I'm not going to just shut down my business entirely, just point blank. I need the income for now. One thing I have thought of doing, if there are any positions available, maybe not immediately, but maybe sometime in the future, would be to do some adjunct teaching at the local university. They don't pay very well, but it would be enough of a supplemental income to help, and that therefore I wouldn't need to take on as many consulting projects, and so I could kind of balance that out a little bit and then still have time to write and that kind of thing. Then there's my novel, which I hope to get published. I'm in the process of doing the final round of edits to it now before I start sending things out to literary agents. I have started putting together a list of literary agents that I want to submit to and figuring out, like, because each one of them has their own rules in terms of what to submit and how much to submit and where to submit to, and you know, all these things. So I'm putting together a spreadsheet for them and trying to get together a pretty good list. I'm focusing only on literary agents that are interested in science fiction and fantasy works. There's no point in submitting a novel to an agent who isn't interested in that genre. So I might as well focus on someone who's looking at that genre. So that's my first thing, is just kind of going through all these literary agents that are online, all these agencies, and saying, okay, well, you know, do you have anyone, any agent working for you that is in that genre? If not, then, you know, on to the next one. So that's what I'm doing with the spreadsheet, is like, okay, this agency, this agent, here's the contact info, here's the instructions on how to submit new works, etc. And so I'm just kind of going through that process while I'm also still working on the edits and everything. And I say final edit because to me, it's my final edit before I start sending it out to the world with the hopes of getting it published. If I find an agent who's interested in representing me, I am under no illusion that there will not be further editing required. That's definitely going to be something that I'm pretty damn sure that there's going to be more editing required. But I want to at least get it to a point where I am happy with the piece in terms of, you know, making sure I've got all the grammar and spelling and that kind of thing for the most part cleaned up, but then also happy with the whole story flow, the plot, the pacing. Pacing has always been my biggest issue, so I've been working on that and things. And I had 5 or 6 people read it after my second round of edits and give me feedback, and I got some really good feedback from the folks that read it. So I'm really grateful for that. So that's given me some areas to focus on, and it was great because the areas that I personally had concern with in the novel itself were areas that they tended to call out and say, hey, you know, this, you know, and I didn't point out where the areas were that I was concerned with. I was just like, oh, I'm hoping that they catch on to, like, yeah, that doesn't flow properly there, and give me some suggestions. Not, you know, specific, like, you know, it should go exactly like this, but just kind of help guide me towards how to fix the problem, because I'm kind of stuck in those areas, and the feedback has done exactly that in terms of, like, oh, okay, getting someone's outside perspective on the story, because I'm so bogged down into it because I created the characters, I created the world, etc. To have an outside perspective of, like, well, gee, wouldn't it be better if you look at it this way, and you know, that starts getting the juices flowing and things. So that's been great. So I am hopeful that I can get published. As I've said before, if I can't, I will self-publish. But you know, it's a potential source of income for me if I can do that as writing as a novelist in the future. I don't know if I can actually make a career of it. I don't know if I'm good enough. I'd like to think I am. How much I enjoy my own writing and how much other people would enjoy my writing, I don't know. You know, obviously my friends were all very kind and everything, but they're my friends, so I can't necessarily say that they're going to be the most unbiased of audiences. So we'll see how that goes. You know, so I've got my consulting still. I can do adjunct teaching. I could do that. You know, maybe do novel writing in the future. You know, continue doing YouTube. I mean, if I actually wanted to make YouTube a career and actually do this as a way of actually earning actual money, rather than, let's see, this particular, because I have 3 channels. Of the 3 channels, the tutorial channel is the one that pays the most. Even though I haven't posted a video there in 2 years, I'm still getting revenue from that channel, even today. It's that popular. I mean, it's nowhere near a PewDiePie level by any means, but between the 3 channels, and I'd say 75 to 80% of what I earn is from that tutorial channel. But I'm making about $400 a year from YouTube right now. It's not a lot. I can't live on that. If it was per month, that would start getting into the realm of, okay, yeah, that could be yet another supplemental source of income. But I'd have to get a whole bunch more subscribers and a whole lot more views before I can even get close to that. And not just on this channel, but on the other channels. Now, the gaming channel, I don't know if I will ever pick that up again or not. I might, I don't know. It just, I just love playing the video games, and it was kind of fun for a while, going back and putting the voiceovers over the videos. I found I really don't like doing the voiceovers while I'm playing. There's always too many problems and glitches and things, and sometimes it doesn't pick up the audio, or sometimes it picks up the keyboard too much, and I don't know how other people do it, and it just, the whole thing drives me crazy, which is why I ended up doing the voiceovers on top of the game later. But I don't know, it takes a lot of time to do it, and that particular channel earns me, I don't know, a buck a month maybe at best. So I really don't feel very motivated to continue that channel. So we'll see. If I feel like doing something like there's a game Abduction, I might put out an abduction series of videos on that game. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But for right now, the gaming channel's kind of definitely being retired, or at least put on for a while. I really would like to do some more of the tutorials. I need to update them. I was doing Adobe Analytics tutorials and some Google Analytics tutorials, but the Adobe ones are the ones that have gotten most of the traffic, and it's because that tool is not readily available to people who don't have a paid subscription to that service, and it's not cheap. It's not a cheap service at all, where Google is free, and so there's tons of Google Analytics tutorials everywhere. So I'm focusing mostly on the Adobe stuff, and the software's been updated quite a bit since the last time I did it 2 years ago, so I'm like, okay, it's time for me to do some new tutorials, and so there's that. But I wouldn't mind this channel generating a bit more revenue as well, but I don't quite know. I mean, obviously I would have to film more frequently, a lot more frequently. I'm not entirely sure how I would want to do that. Like I said, I've tried doing the cooking thing. That actually took a ridiculously a long time to film and edit that. Compared to how many views it got, I don't know if it's worth the time and effort to do it. I suppose I would have to continue doing it regularly in order to try and build an audience for that. I'm not sure if that's the right thing to go for my channel. I mean, it's fun to do, but like I said, it takes a ridiculous amount of time. I mean, that meal that I did in that last video, I think it was like a meal that normally would take 20 to 30 minutes to put together. I edited out a lot of stuff, but I think the whole thing, from moving the camera to different angles and this and that and the other, it took me over an hour to make the meal, where normally it would only have taken me 20-30 minutes. But I was like trying to stage everything so that it looked pretty while I'm cooking it and everything. So there's that. And then, you know, obviously editing out all the footage and speeding up certain pieces and skipping over pieces. So, because you're not going to sit there watching me cook for over an hour for a 30-minute meal. Nor are you going to sit there for 30 minutes watching me either. So, you know, I had to try and shrink that down. So, anyway, so that's kind of like where my thoughts are right now is, you know, what am I going to do in the future? Those are some of my thoughts right now is maybe going into teaching, maybe going into becoming a novelist, maybe kind of doing a mix of all of the above. I'm just not sure. I'm kind of like just back at, just graduated from college, and now what do I do with my life? You know, that's kind of how I feel right now, is that I don't have to worry about where I live. I have a roof over my head. I've got, you know, clothes on my back. I have food in the house. I don't have to worry about those things, which most people do, which I'm grateful that I don't have to worry about right now. So that's a relief. That's a good thing. But there's still things, you know, I mean, but I don't want to just sit around on my ass all day and do nothing. I need to do something with my life. I can't just sit here and play video games and write fan fiction and, you know, la 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 and nothing. I need to be doing something with my life. Speaking of which, there is one other thing. It's not a source of income at all, but for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, or AFSP, that's the charity that I did a lot of. I donated 10% of the estate to last year, participated in their annual walk last year, and I am seriously considering trying to get a branch opened closer to where I live. Right now we have a single branch in the entire state of Colorado, and it's in Denver, and I'm up in northern Colorado, so I'd love to get a northern Colorado branch started for that, and maybe we can do our own walks and that kind of thing, and try and get a little bit more suicide prevention help in our area. There's been an increase of suicides I've noticed from middle school, high school kids that have been hitting the news lately and things, and I'm like, you know, maybe we can try and get more of that kind of help up here. It's obviously a cause that's very near and dear to my heart, and if you feel at all needing to find a charity to donate to, that's definitely one that I would recommend. They focus mostly on research. They have a goal of trying to reduce the suicide rate by, I'm trying to remember, was it 25% by 2025 or something like that? I forget exactly what their goal is, but the goal is to reduce suicide rates, obviously. And so, and they work with a lot of local places. You know, they don't provide the hotlines and things themselves as much as they provide resources for the hotlines and that kind of thing. So they become a resource themselves for the hotlines and try and keep those staffed for people who need someplace safe to talk to, and just that kind of thing is. Anyway, just it's a good charity in my mind. It's doing the kind of work that I know my husband was hoping for. That was one of his last wishes, was to donate money to increasing the research, and so that we have a better understanding of what causes depression and anxiety and all these different mental illnesses that lead to the majority of suicides, because obviously he was in anguish and he needed help, and even though he was getting help, it wasn't enough. And a lot of that was just because we don't understand enough yet about our brains and our minds and how it all works and things. So that's one of the charitable causes that I definitely want to get more involved in, and perhaps step up and try and run a branch locally up here and try and get more help for people. Anyway, I think I've prattled on long enough. So anyway, I hope you enjoy my prattling. You know, I almost thought about doing Vlogmas, but a daily thing of me just sitting around the house right now is just, that's not interesting at all. I don't know what else I can be doing with this channel. If you have suggestions, leave them in the comments below if you're still watching. Other than that, I don't know when I'll have my next video, so I will wish you all a happy happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, and all of the other holidays. That's why I say happy holidays, because I know there's so many holidays out there that I don't even know half the names of. So anyway, I hope you all take care. I hope your next year is wonderful, and maybe I'll be back before the new year, maybe I won't, I don't know. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.